Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. One thing that would have been right, our farmers should have been the richest among us. They should have been the most wealthiest families within our group. And because of all the racism in this system and within the government, they didn't have those opportunities. But during Reconstruction, they did become multi-millionaires. That's why they lynched them. In fact, they were outperforming white farmers in white communities. So now Donald Trump announced this $12 billion, because he's really the one that messed things up for these farmers with the immigration. And then on top of the immigration, when he closed the government agencies like USAID, that many of these white farmers had all the opportunities and contracts through to send their produce out worldwide, where black farmers did not have those opportunities. And then the tariffs ruined everything for them, where they had deals with China. And China stopped buying from these white farmers. See, the black farmers never had deals with China, only the white farmers. And Donald Trump called himself about a month ago, having talks with China to bring them back to buying from these white farmers. And China's not ever coming back to buy from these white farmers. That ship has sailed. It's never going to happen again. They're never coming back to buy from these farmers again. They're never going to see it happen. And they can thank Donald Trump for all of it. Donald Trump caused them to lose their elite. But see, they did that. They voted against their own interests by, Donald Trump said he was going to do mass deportation. They knew that their workers were illegals, and they ran out there and voted for Donald Trump. So they lost all of their workers. Then their crops rotted in the ground. And then they couldn't get workers. They thought our people were going to replace the illegals. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. We ain't coming out there working under y'all like that. And, they have been crying all over the internet ever since. You can find a lot of videos of these white farmers crying about how much they have lost, or they had to file bankruptcy, or they have lost their land altogether. Their land has been foreclosed on. And, that's pretty much their problem. They don't care. They really don't care. So they lost a lot. Well, I look at it this way: at least you had the opportunity to sell your crops. At least, these white farmers, they became millionaires. They may be losing a lot now, but they still had a chance and they became millionaires. And see, that's the thing. Y'all become millionaires, but you do it in a dirty way. You don't do it in an honest way. You do it in a dirty way. You have to lock out the black farmers in order to rise up with your farms. And then along the way, you make these claims that, oh, well, black people don't know agriculture, when that's a damn lie. Our people did all of agriculture at one point in time in this country. We did all of it. Did all of it during Jim Crow and Reconstruction. Did all of it during sharecropping, all of it during the convict lease program. But so how did we get to the point where we don't know agriculture? What, because y'all say so? I don't think it works that way. So now with this $12 billion, which the white farmers have already come out and said, it's too little too late. It's not enough to bail them out of all the debt that they're in. because, it splits up among all of these farmers. And the black farmers said, they're getting cheated even in this $12 billion deal because they're not getting equal amounts in comparison to what the white farmers are getting. So they're rejecting it altogether. So you're going to hear directly from them how they're being cheated, even in the instance of this alleged $12 billion bailout that Donald Trump is offering the farmers. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, close that out. Hold on one second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to have to re-download this thing because it's not playing. All right, hold on.
I felt alone in the dark, tears falling in the rain, heart full of thunder, soul wrapped in pain. But then I heard a whisper blowing through the trees. You're not forgotten, you're still seen by me. Yeah, it's watching over my soul, every high, every low. He's in control, he's watching. Love never sleeps, eyes like fire, and his promise he keeps. My refuge, he's my calm, my forever in a storm. Yeah, he's watching over me. I tried to run, I tried to hide, made mistakes I still can't justify, but mercy met me in my shame. Grace found me and called my name. Yes, watch you.
I will instruct you and teach you the way you should go. I will count you.
Yes, watching over my soul, every high, every low. He's in control, he's watching. Love never sleeps, eyes like fire, and his promise he keeps. My shelter, he's my balm, even when I'm broken and calm. Yeah, he's watching, he's always watching me. He watched me in the valley, love me through my fears. He counted every heartbeat, bottled up my tears. Oh, he never left my side through the darkest fight. He's the moon in my midnight, the dawn in my night. Don't need to fear every prayer I speak. He's already near. My soul believes, delight, guiding my steps with eternal light. He's my father, he's my friend, my beginning and my end. Yeah, he's watching over me. He's watching. He sees me. He's watching. He frees me. He's watching. Through the storm. He's watching. Yeah, keeps me. He's watching. Always watching. He's watching. Watching. Yeah.
All right, y'all. It's up to 90%, so we don't have that much longer. I just hate when it does this where I download it and I guess it gets corrupt somewhere along the way. Let me get rid of this. All right. So I did contact UPS, and all they're saying again is, the order is delayed. It doesn't mean you're not going to get it. It's just delayed. So it's frustrating. And I wish I had better news for some of you, but I don't. Okay, there we go. All right, it is working this time. So let me share my screen. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
Potential lifeline for farmers struggling to make ends meet. Just moments ago, President Trump announced a new $12 billion aid package called the Farmer Bridge Assistance Program that would distribute one-time payments worth $11 billion to crop farmers and another $1 billion to farmers whose crops fall outside the program's parameters. The bailout comes as many farms are getting crushed by rising costs and plummeting prices brought on by Trump's trade wars. Bankruptcy filings have seen a steep increase this year after years of trending downward. Today, after nearly a year, the president blaming his predecessor for the current issues facing farmers.
In the last year, Biden bankruptcies rose by 55%, having to do with farms. So farm bankruptcies under Joe Biden went up 55%. That's not good. But now we're once again in a position where a president is able to put farmers first. But unfortunately, I'm the only president that does that.
Joining us now, the president of the National Black Farmers Association, John Boyd Jr. John, thank you so much for being with us. So how is this $12 billion bailout potentially going to help you?
Well, first I want to comment on the president. He said something about all this happened on the Biden administration, which is totally false. Agriculture in this country has been in a complete turbulence and turmoil in this country since the president got elected. He didn't talk about farm suicides, farm bankruptcies, farm foreclosures, are all up under his watch. And I want to remind the president that we're in the position that we're in such a bad, devastated position in this country because of his tariffs. So I wanted to clean that up from just listening to his comments. And what the president's been talking about is something he talked about back in October. This isn't something new. It's just something that the farmers have not received. And I just done a little reading on this, and it said this proposed 12 billion will not reach farmers until February. And we need the aid now. We was promised the aid back in October. He said he couldn't do it because the government was shut down and all of these things. He had a meeting today with farmers at the National Black Farmers Association with our 150,000 members, wasn't even invited to, you know, and we're farmers too.
I wonder what it means for you in practical terms that money's not going to get here until, not going to get to you at least until February.
Well, we're in trouble here, and you know, my farm is no exception. During that whole government shutdown and during the issues with the tariffs and China not buying soybeans from the United States, I had to stop harvest. You know, and you know when I should have been completing harvest, just because the grain elevators was not taking soybeans. I don't have storage capabilities on my farm, so I was out there in limbo. And you know, while the grass is growing, the cows are starving. I was losing income because the soybeans began to pop out of the pod. These are things that I can't correct, but we were looking for this revenue back in October, and I would like to hear more clarity about how the farmers are going to actually receive this money in February. And we want to make sure that all our members are at the table, you know, get invited and actually receive some of this $12 billion that the president is talking about.
The Ag Secretary, Brooke Rollins, has said that this is really just a bridge to help farmers like yourself get through the next few months, and that something more substantial will come down the road. I wonder what you think is needed and how soon you think they'll actually get it in front of you.
Well, the first thing that is needed is a complete farm moratorium. No American farmer in this country should be losing their farm because of the inactions or the wrong decisions that this administration has made in the form of tariffs. We shouldn't be penalized being at the farm auction block because of the president imposed tariffs. So that's the first thing that should happen. And you know, they're saying this is a bridge. You know, a bridge to where? You know, who's going to receive the money? That's the questions that we have, and we haven't heard it. You know, real clearly from this administration, because at first they said it was 15 billion back in October, and now it's down to 12 billion. And the monies I received, I'll be honest with you, was $1,800, which is enough to buy a ton of fertilizer during the last payout. So there wasn't a whole lot to help my farm, but hopefully it helps some other farmers out there. But this administration has to do better, and it has to do better by making sure that all farmers in this country receive some help, you know, not just certain farmers here that are at the table. Some farmers have to look like me, and, you know, they say all this stuff about DEI and all of these things. None of that takes place on my farm. I had to go out and feed my cows this morning. They didn't ask me what color I was or where I was getting help from. I have to be able to make it and compete out here on the farm like everybody else. It has nothing to do with color, but this administration is leaving us out. When they have meetings at the table, we're not invited. And they say because we have, you know, primarily an organization that represents Black farmers. And I think that's, you know, very appalling in this country.
I'll just come through right quick. Listen, Donald Trump and his administration had done away with Black farmers' assistance. We know that in 1990, they passed a farm bill, and then they put in this 2501 project where this program was set up to help Black farmers and underserved farmers around the United States. It was set up by the USDA through the Department of Agriculture, but this is a program that the Department of Agriculture have came in to say they're doing away with it because of Donald Trump want them to do away with anything related to DEI, which they still don't understand what that is. But they're changing it up, and I know that this will hurt Black farmers, but we know for a long, long time that even though they set this program up to help farmers, Black farmers, to get grants, the Black farmer was not getting those grants anyway. So this is something to deter Black farmers. Guess what? A lot of them doing their own thing without any government assistance. I know several. If you're on TikTok, go look out there, find some Black farmers, and you'll see what's going on. Follow me.
Black farm operator, the one thing that I'm sick of hearing from white farmers is how you're struggling. Excuse me, my people not only struggle, the USDA objectively spent more money trying to keep black farmers out of farming than to actually help us. Meanwhile, white farmers were not only getting land, you're getting conservation payments. Do you even know what that is? The white farmers and their families for generations were given land, and they will be paid to not farm that land. Because it's for conservation, it's for environmentalism. The same white MAGA farmers who vote against climate change initiatives, who vote in favor of policies that harm the environment, are now the same crybaby bitches who are crying about them not getting conservation payments. Excuse me, you don't even believe in environmentalism, but you want payments for not farming your own land. You want payments for not working your land. You want payments for being lazy. You want payments for being white. That is the usual suspect, the usual problem in this country. The reason why we spend so much money on freaking farmers and subsidies is because of white farmers. Because black farmers don't even ask the freaking USDA for anything because we know better. You want to know why? For generations, the USDA has done nothing but help white farmers get them land, get them conservation payments, help them with animals, help them get freaking education, mechanize their freaking farm equipment. You do all that shit, and now you want to come to me saying, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I've been doing that, and that's why I'm not struggling like you are. That's why. You want to know why? Because when you give a man a freaking fish, he will eat for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, he will eat for a damn lifetime. And guess what the U.S. government has been doing with freaking white farmers? You've been giving out a whole lot of fish. You gave out the whole ocean's worth of damn fish. And now all of a sudden you can't do anything to function on your own. On your own. And the way that we know that you have focused so hard on getting subsidies from the U.S. government is that your crops reflect that. Your crops reflect that. Without your slaves, without your cheap labor from freaking Mexico and Honduras and Ecuador and Brazil, without your illegal immigrant slaves, your ass is falling. The reason why so many farmhands get paid so little is because it's been taken over by white farmers who were used to having slaves. So guess what? They don't want to pay top price to damn farmhands. So it's up to black farmers to actually pay people to actually farm the land, to actually be self-sufficient. Unlike the privileged, bullshit-ass, crybaby-ass white farmer. I've never got what the hell you've gotten. So stop crying.
Now, the president of the National Black Farmers Association, John Boyd Jr. John, thank you so much for being with us. So how is this $12 billion bailout potentially going to help you?
Well, first I want to comment on the president. He said something about all this happened on the Biden administration, which is totally false. Agriculture in this country has been in a complete turbulence and turmoil in this country since the president got elected. He didn't talk about farm suicides, farm bankruptcies, farm foreclosures, are all up under his watch. And I want to remind the president that we're in the position that we're in such a bad, devastated position in this country because of his tariffs. So I wanted to clean that up from just listening to his comments. And what the president's been talking about is something he talked about back in October. This isn't something new. It's just something that the farmers have not received. And I just done a little reading on this, and it said this proposed $12 billion will not reach farmers until February. And we need the aid now. We was promised the aid back in October. He said he couldn't do it because the government was shut down and all of these things. He had a meeting today with farmers at the National Black Farmers Association with our 150,000 members. Wasn't even invited to, and we're farmers too.
In 1920, there were 1 million black farmers in this country. In present day, there are less than 10,000 black row crop farmers in the U.S.
I'm here at the National Black Growers Council conference in downtown New Orleans. President Trump recently announced a $12 billion tariff relief program to help farmers across the country. The Trump administration's tariffs mean farmers have been struggling to export their commodities because other countries have been placing retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. So this plan will give one-time payments to farmers that come from tariff revenues. So I came here to talk to farmers and see what they think about it. Is it enough? And can the help come soon enough?
It's almost like a check, you just can't cash it until February 28th.
Our landlords want their money by the end of the year. This needs to show up like Santa Claus underneath the Christmas tree, to be honest with you.
It's a good start, but we're gonna need more help.
I hope and pray that it's enough to keep farmers in business, because some of us have bigger debts than others.
I mean, $12 billion really just a drop in the bucket. You know, it's almost like putting a bandage on a bullet wound, you know.
What do we do in 2026 when we go to the bank to try and get along? What crops do we raise?
Black-owned land 100 years ago was 16 million acres. Present day, it's only 2 million. That's 14 million acres of black-owned land. Our herd is small. So again, if we can protect the herd will grow.
The organization representing Black farmers across the country opting out of President Trump's $12 billion Farmer Bridge Assistance Program. Action News 5 Sydney Gray heard from the organization and explains why.
This is where the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association is based here in Memphis. This group represents thousands of Black farmers all across the country, and its president is calling out this particular funding, saying that it's racist.
Ordinarily, BFO would not be indifferent to the plight of all farmers.
But President Thomas Burrell says his organization had to take a stance against President Trump's new $12 billion Farmer Bridge Assistance Program.
In light of circumstances and events that have happened over the last several years, culminating in denying African-American farmers and the sons and daughters of African-American farmers the same rights and privileges that now the administration says it is going to make sure that it's guaranteed to farmers in general.
President Trump announced the new aid Monday. The money would be paid in late February.
We're going to make the farmers so strong. And I'm not even talking about financially, because they just want to be able to produce what they can produce. And we're going to make them so strong that it will be indeed a golden age for farmers.
But Burrell says the U.S. has not entered into trade agreements with African countries, nor does the $12 billion include farmers who harvest tobacco, sugarcane, peanut, pork, and livestock. Many of those farmers are Black.
African Americans owned 20 million acres of land in 1910, but as a result of systemic discrimination, have lost virtually all of that land.
Burrell also notes $4 billion meant for minority farmers by the Biden administration due to discrimination. Money, he says, never made it to Black farmers because white farmers, he says, filed lawsuits to stop the payments.
I think that it's time that fairness becomes, in a very simple word, something that the government would embrace. Fairness.
It's not a matter of don't give it to A. The question is, if you're going to give it to A, why are you not going to give it to B?
In downtown Memphis, Sydney Gray, Action News 5.
Now, BIFA plans to file an injunction against the Trump administration to stop the payments. In response from the White House, they say, quote, the president's announcement reflects the president's commitment to helping our farmers, who will have the support they need to bridge the gap between Biden's failures and the president's successful policies taking effect. Burrell said he'd be more than willing to meet with the president to discuss a solution.
Payment meant to help farmers make it to the next growing season. Black farmers represent less than 2% of all growers, and under the Trump administration, programs designed to help support them have been cut. The Gulf States Newsroom's Drew Hawkins went to a meeting of Black farmers to find out how they've been affected this year and if the relief, when it comes, will be enough.
Office worn off, the liquor's still kicking in. Let's go, stand up.
The National Black Growers Council's annual meeting kicked off this week in New Orleans, just a few days after the Trump administration announced billions in tariff relief funding. James Davis drove down from North Louisiana. He's a third-generation row crop farmer, and he calls the Trump administration's program a bailout and says that even with it, some farmers may still go out of business.
It's not enough. Farmers gonna still need more. I hope and pray that it's enough to keep farmers in business, because some of us have bigger debts than others.
Many of the farmers here say they've been hit really hard this year. Finest Stribling III farms 800 acres in Tennessee and Arkansas. He says 2025 was another year of what he calls farming in a deficit, one that got off to a rough start.
We had weather challenges. Early on we had a lot of rain, trying to get in the field, and then kind of after all the rain, we got into a drought situation. So that kind of got us off to a fairly slow start.
Along with weather challenges, the Trump administration's tariffs, followed by other countries placing retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods, mean farmers haven't been able to export their commodities, making it harder to secure loans many farmers take out to get their crops in the ground that they'll have to pay back once they get those crops out of the ground.
You say $12 billion, it feels like a lot of money. But when you look at the cost of production and then the type of money that's spent in agriculture, I mean, $12 billion really just a drop in the bucket. It's almost like putting a bandage on a bullet wound.
For many farmers here, the politics behind the tariff relief don't really matter. PJ Haney, a fifth-generation row crop farmer, is chairman of the National Black Growers Council.
We all have to eat, whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're independent, we all have to eat.
Haney, like many farmers here, says he's grateful for any support. The one-time bridge payments are set to be delivered at the end of February next year, but he worries the relief won't come soon enough.
Our landlords want their money by the end of the year. Our bill, our seed and input and chemical and equipment comes in. We have to make payments by the end of the year. This needs to show up like Santa Claus underneath the Christmas tree, to be honest with you.
In addition to weather and tariffs, black farmers have faced additional challenges, Haney says. They make up less than 2% of all growers, and their numbers and the size of their farms have been shrinking.
In 1920, there were 1 million black farmers in this country. In present day, there are less than 10,000 black row crop farmers in the U.S. Black-owned land 100 years ago was 16 million acres. Present day, it's only 2 million.
And this year, the Trump administration dismantled decades-old USDA programs designed to assist black farmers by eliminating the socially disadvantaged designation, including programs like the 2501 program, which many black row crop farmers rely on for access to credit, technical assistance, and other support.
The black row crop farm community needs the support of the administration. We need the support of program participation. We need the set-asides to make sure these families can stay in business.
And while the farmers here welcome the bridge payments, agricultural economists say the challenges farmers are facing go beyond 1 year of relief.
There's still just so much uncertainty with the trade picture.
Joseph Glober is a senior research fellow at the International Food Policy Research Institute in Washington, D.C. He says smaller farms especially, like many black-owned farms, may not get as much relief from federal programs.
And the way the farm programs work, I mean, let's be frank, they're largely tied to areas, planted area. And so if you're a larger firm, you're going to get more in terms of government subsidies for any of these packages.
New trade agreements with China, historically the top buyer of American row crops like soybeans, may help improve the bottom line for U.S. farmers, Glober says. But they'll now also have to compete with other countries that have ramped up production. So many row crop farmers are looking at next year with a lot of uncertainty, like John Lee II from Arkansas.
What do we do in 2026 when we go to the bank to try and get along? What crops do we raise? So I'm concerned about the notion of going to the bank this upcoming year and not being able to get a loan because we can't make the loan cash flow. That's a big concern.
For NPR News, I'm Drew Hawkins in New Orleans.
Just after listening to that, so all the welfare goes to white farmers. They get all the government assistance, they get all of the subsidies, and any money that the government have set asides and everything, it goes to the white farmers. And and what that one farmer was saying, he's right. As soon as their workers left, their crops start rotting. They didn't even have a backup plan to how to get their crops out of the ground when they lost their workers. They had no backup plan. So he's right. As soon as they lost their workers, everything fell apart for them. But that's on them. They're supposed to have high IQs and know everything, but they were the ones that were the most dependent on the government to get their farms even to even work their farms, they were heavily depending on all kinds of things from the government. So, and workers. So go figure. So y'all, these farmers are saying, they're not going to take what Donald Trump is offering. And plus, they're not getting the same portion that the white farmers are getting. So they're not going to take it at all. And they're used to working without taking anything from the government. That's why they're not losing anything. If you notice, the only ones online whining about filing bankruptcy and losing their farm, and their farm been in the family for hundreds of years, and now they're about to lose, are white farmers. They're the only ones talking that way on videos. You don't see any of the black farmers talking like that because they're not losing anything. They had to fend for themselves this entire time. So y'all, that's it. So I want to thank Eric Tinsley. Thank you for the super chat, Israel for Israel. Absolutely. Thank you for your support from my channel. I deeply appreciate it. So y'all, thank you for being here. And I may have another live coming up a little later, but I have to get a few things together before I get to that. So hopefully I will see you again a little later. Shalom, family.